Go to server, data import, just select the file which I shared with you, right? Just download it and upload it. Just click on start import. It will execute something. It will be executed and the data will be imported. You see, after that, you just go to schema and just refresh. And you see the table created called country, and it will also have these columns and data, right? It will also have the columns and data. So this data is required to play with this table, right? So that's why I'm sharing with you. Just uh, complete it. Now let's go to JDBC application, right? So let's spend some time on understanding few methods on JDBC template, how they work, right? So later we will try to create a new microservice, then integrate with the JDBC, right? New microservice, then integrate with the JDBC. So we will, yeah, look at this. We are going to use Spring JDBC or Spring Boot JDBC. So let's try with the Spring Boot JDBC, right? Yeah, which is the latest. So in application.properties file, you have to give this configuration. So JDBC colon 127.0.0.1.3306. That is the default port. If your MySQL installed on a different port, then give that port. So the MySQL default port is 3306. That's why I gave 3306. So in my case, the schema is Vault, right? So here is my schema. So that is what I gave, right? Here is my schema. If you have a different schema, right? The default, I think the different schema is all these things are a different schema only. SYS, SQLR, or Vault app. I think there is one more schema test will be created. So where you created the table, inside that, so where you created the table, right? So just give that as a schema. So in this case, it's a word for me. So that's why I gave word. And then username, root, username is root, password is root. So you no need to do anything, right? Just this we already know, just create a simple Spring Boot starter project, right? Starter project, and the main method Spring application, everything is there. So here we created a table called city. Okay, here for demo purpose, I am using another table. Okay, not country, city. So city has four columns. You just look into this later. We can write microservice, right? We can do parallel. So first of all, I will explain you something like how to call the method, how to pass the parameters. First, we will see a couple of examples. Then we will do hands-on. Okay. So for example purpose, I am using a different table called city. So here, in this city table has 1, 2, 3, 5 columns, right? ID, name, country code, population, right? City, ID, name, country code, district, population. So the same thing here, I put it inside my Pojo class, right? City Java, it has five properties: ID, name, country code, district, population. So whatever the columns we have in the database, the equivalent properties I kept inside Java. So it's like table to Java mapping I'm trying to do, right? So whatever the data is there in the database, I'm just trying to just simulate the same kind of environment, right? So the same kind of behavior I'm trying to create in the Java. So in table, it's a city table. Columns are ID, name, country code, district, population. In Java, it is city.java file, and it has 5 properties: ID, name, country code, district, population. So my Java class is equivalent to that particular city table in the database. So I just created setters, getters. Okay, setters, getters, and toString methods. Some meaningful information will be printed on the console. That's why we override the toString method. Right? It's a simple Pojo class, simple plain Pojo class, right? Five parameters, and the corresponding setters, getters, overridden toString method. That's it. No business logic. The plain old Java object, right? Pojo, a simple Pojo class. It has only 5 properties, right? And these 5 properties, it's like a kind of simulation, right? Database table simulation we did here, right? So this is pretty easy. I don't think so. This is really complex. We created a simple city. So here, yeah, I wrote some interface, right? I defined some methods, right? I wrote some interface. I defined some methods. My repository IMPL class provide implementation for that repository. So I will remove all these getter setters, right? And I will just start over So I'm getting the JDBC template. So from where I'm getting, so I didn't write any configuration in my Spring Boot, right? I didn't write any configuration. It is a simple Spring Boot application, right? It's a simple Spring Boot application. Okay, so yeah, it's a simple Spring Boot application. So I don't write any configuration, right? So zero configuration. Just I provided properties in the properties file. Okay, just provided properties in properties file. But I'm trying to auto-fire JDBC template, right? So this JDBC template is going to be automatically created by the Spring Boot. Spring Boot, not by Spring Boot. If your project is Spring Boot, then only you can get this JDBC template injected, right? Then only you can get the JDBC template auto-fire works. Otherwise, you will get uh, no such bean definition exception of type JDBC template, right? Auto-web failed, right? So bean creation failed for repository INPM, city repository INPM. One of the dependency of type JDBC template is missing. So the underlying exception is no such bean definition exception. JDBC template property, right? JDBC template auto-web is not working. So there is no bean of type JDBC template, right? So that is what is the actual exception without Spring Boot. But in Spring Boot, it's working, right? It's working without creating JDBC template, without creating data source. It is working because JDBC Spring Boot has a feature called auto configuration. Yesterday we said, right? Data source auto configuration. There is a default data source will be created with the name Hikari, right? Hikari data source will be created, and it also creates a JDBC template. So it's like fully packaged application, right? It's just like ordering some biryani, right? You just open Swiggy or Zomato, just place the order, you get the fully packaged, right, ready to eat biryani. So that's what is a Spring Boot, right? So the same kind of thing. Yeah. So there are so many methods are there in this JDBC template, right? So for example, if you wanted to fetch the data from the database, right? You have to call a method like query, right? So query or query for object. It's like query or query for object. Query means you get multi-data, right? Multi-data. If it is a query for object means you get one particular column, right? One particular column, right? Query for one row, right? It's a multi-row. It's a multi-row. Query for object means one row, right? One object. We have overloaded method, so we will look into that. Okay? We have overloaded method for query for object. We will look into. So query or query for object will be used to fetch the data from the database, right? So query or query for object will be used to fetch the data from the database. So you see anytime JDBC template.query, JDBC template.query for object. So the thumb rule or the simple identical thing which you can remember, it's like you are fetching the data, right? It's like you are fetching the data. So we have next version update, right? So it's a simple update method, which means we will be doing some update, right? It can be a update query, right? It can be an update query or it can be a delete query, right? So you are doing some rows update. So doing some number of rows update, right? You are executing updates table where condition like that it is, right? So we are just going to execute some updates query, right? So then you call update method. Yeah, to perform any DDL operation, you call execute method. Only three categories, right? Query, update, execute. Query, update, execute. Only three categories. Query will be used for selecting the data. Update will be used for updating any data in the database. Execute is going to be used for DDL purpose, right? So it's going to be like create table or alter table, like any data you want to, like any column data type you want to update, any new column modeling, right? So that's what we're gonna do with alter table. But anyway, we don't do that, right? In the real time, we don't usually execute any DDL commands through Java application. We do execute that script and we will send that script to the DB admin. So he will promote that into different environments. So but we have the support, right? So you can execute DDL, no doubt in that. So to execute any DDL, create table, drop table, alter table, right? So those are DDL queries. Those will be executed by execute method. And if you want to perform any update query, update query execution, then call update method on the JDBC template. Then you want to fetch the data from the database, then you have to call query or query for object. Query means you get multi-row as a response. Query for object means one particular row will be returned. Okay, but we have overloaded methods. All these are having overloaded methods, right? Because we will have to pass, sometimes you need to pass some variables, right? Parameters, where condition, under condition, right? So those kind of things we will be, that's why we have overloaded methods here, right? So that is a very common requirement in the JDBC. And moreover, every query you write in JDBC template or Spring JDBC, it's going to be by default prepared statement. Okay, by default it is prepared statement. I hope if anybody worked on Hibernate, common for Hibernate also. Right, statement is not good to use. Right, there might be some chance where we can perform SQL injection. Right, SQL injection. So statement is not good to use. It is always recommended to use prepared statement. So the Spring JDBC or Spring Boot JDBC, we use the same thing. Every query we are going to write will be converted into a prepared statement. No statement, no callable statement. It's just right away. Right? It's a straightforward prepared statement will be. So we do just call. For example, I want to fetch the data. Right? I want to fetch the data from some table called city. Right? So this can be any table. So we do call like select star from. You go to SQL. Right? So it's very basic, simple, starting from zero, right? From the city table. So you get the data returning from the database. Yes, fine. Right? The data is coming back. It's good. We are good, right? But whenever you want to do the same thing by using JDBC, then you will be doing connection, driver manager or data source connection. Then you call create statement, executing statement, result set. But when it is coming to the Spring JDBC or Spring Boot JDBC, okay, so you call this query method, okay, the code looks something like this: JDBC template, right? Dot query, right? Dot query, and here you need to pass the query which you would like to execute, right? So it's like select from query. Yeah, of course, even though it is JDBC, you have to write the query, right? What is the query you have to write? You want to execute that query, you have to write. So the SQL query you must write. That is your developer job, right? So next topic is going to be data JPA. There I will show you how to avoid writing these queries, right? How to come out of this SQL. So as a Java developer, you don't need to have a strong knowledge on the SQL query. If you have, it's good. If you don't have, still it is good, because data JPA is the solution to come out of writing these queries. Okay. Yes. So you write like select star from query, and the result has to be put it inside some object, right? So that you have to specify how you want to extract the data, right? So that is what it is, right? So query, so JDBC template query, and the second sorry here, right? JDBC template query, and here yeah. So I am fetching one particular column, right? So number of rows are, how many number of rows are, right? So just select, let's start with one column, right? Let's start with one column, select not all the data, just one particular column. So I want to know the number of rows which are present in the table, then we use select count of star or count of one. So we will come to know how many number of rows are present. Right, so 461 rows are present in the table. So when you execute select count of star, right? Count of star from city. The return type is an integer, right? Integer, some number you're gonna get it, right? So the first argument, right? Query for object is going to take, the first argument is a query which you would like to execute, and the second argument is some number, right? Is there any background noise? Are you hearing from me?
Yes, a little.
If it is written, it's fine. If it is some
No, manageable, not good.
some
It's looking like someone
doing some
like
repair.
giving sharpness to knife, right?
Yeah. some outside
Before.
some work is going on. I think they are
Okay,
cutting.
yeah.
But
That is what I was saying. Someone is cutting iron that rods.
Okay. If it is too much disturbance, let me know. I will close the windows so the sound won't be that much. Okay. Yeah. So now, yeah. So we are starting. Let me close. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we are starting with query for object, right? One particular column we want to fetch. One particular column we want to fetch. So it takes two parameters, right? And actually we are using two parameterized method, right? So first parameter is we are passing the query. Second parameter is how you want to get that output, right? I want to get that output in a number, integer, right? So that's why we are passing integer that class. So this query will be executed by the JDBC template. So the JDBC template creates one connection for you, and it creates prepare statement. Whatever the query we are passing, that prepare statement, the generated prepare statement will execute that query, and that result will be converted into an integer, right? So it's a simple method call for us, but it's not the real scenario, right? We are just simply calling like this, right? So but how many number of steps are executing in the behind, right? So it's like opening the connection, and it's a data source get connection, no driver manager, right? Thing doesn't do driver manager. So connection con equals to it calls data source dot get connection. So once it get the connection, it calls connection dot prepare the statement. Okay. When we pass the query, whatever we are passing here, we get a result set. The result is the result is not none. It won't be none most of the time. It calls the next method and try to extract that column whatever we are trying to get, right? It's a count of star, right? So that is what is the column count of star. So it calls like this rs dot get int. Okay, so what the data type we are passing integer, right? So it calls get int. This is the column name, right? That output will be put it inside one int variable, right? Int variable int count equals to 0, and that count, right, it's going to return the count. But before returning, right? Before returning, what are all the things will be taken care in the background? Few more steps are there, right? Closing connection, closing prepare statement, right? Closing prepare statement, all those things will be taken care of. Right? It's the same story, whether you write it or Spring do it, it's the same story. But the benefit what we're going to get is we will write less code, right? You will write less code. You will get more benefits, right? It's less code, more functionality. Less code, more functionality. And the second thing is it's a more standardized code, right? We cannot trust developer, right? So some might be good, right? So in coding, some might be bad. So they might forget connection, closing connection, right? So some kind of side effects we have. If everybody we can ask, right, whether we are writing or Spring writing, what is the difference, right? Execution wise, there is no difference, but you get it standardized code, right? So for sure, when I use query for object, I can guarantee you that the underlying connection will always be closed. But can you guarantee that in your team, everybody will close the connection? Might be, may not be, right? So sometimes somebody will forget. But when we use query for object of Jdbc template, there are two benefits. One is less code, more functionality. And the second one is more standardized code we are going to use in our project. Okay. So it's just a simple line for us, but in the background, these many things are going to be happening, right? So you get final output as int printed on the int printed, right? So the number of rows are present in the table, you get that output. So I would like to run this as a main method application. Later we will integrate with the web application. So how can we run as a main method application? What should we do?
Command line runner.
Command line.
Command line runner. Just directly use the expression. Okay. So to call this method on this city repository IMPL, I should do an auto where, right? This is just for demo purpose. I'm showing you. We will do uh, one microservice where we integrate with Spring Boot Web and Jdbc. Okay. So you just call this method, right? So you can call this city.get get city count, right? Get city count. It's going to return some number. You can just do int equals to. You can print it or you can just put these two things in one line. XSR dot and you just call that method. Run the code. You see that same output 416, right? 416. So the same will be printed on the console. Right? 461. Here is output, right? Here is output. So that output it's from Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot. The number of rows are present in the table is 461. Okay. So when you want to pass some parameter, right? So it's like some where condition you want to. So in this table, there is so much information is there. For example, I would like to know how many number of cities are there inside Australia, right? Or else what is this BIA? Brazil might be. Yeah, let's try with Brazil, right? So some where condition. So where condition, where country go to. So you get the number of cities are present under Brazil. So how many are there? So there are some numbers. So to get the count, right, just apply this where condition to the below query and run the query. You come to know how many number of cities, are there under Brazil. There are 61 cities are there, right? So let's do the same thing, right? So when you would like to execute, when you would like to select one particular column with a where condition, then it's the same method, query for object only, but you need to pass extra parameters, right? I already said. So JDBC template has query for object overloaded method. So it's a query for object only. You pass, right, some extra parameters. So last time we passed query and the return type. This time we're gonna pass the parameter also. So it's going to be where country code equals to question mark, right? That is one is the property. This parameterized statement. We're gonna use placeholders, right? We're gonna use placeholders. So this is the solution for SQL injection, right? SQL injection. If it is a statement, you would be using string concatenation. That is not a good practice, right? That is not a good practice. So that's why we use prepared statement. So you can ask me, by using prepared statement, can we avoid SQL injection 100%? May not be, but at least somehow we can conduct, right? 100% you cannot avoid, but it's like some portion you can avoid, right? So this time I'm passing 3 arguments, right? Extra one more argument I'm passing. This is going to be put it here, right? So whatever the extra argument we are passing, that is going to be put it in the query as a placeholder. So it is going to be query like this execution. Select star from city where country code equals to whatever the number you are passing, right? So the country code is some BRA, Brazil, Australia, AES, New Zealand, NZ, India, IND, US, so some parameter. So the requirement is we are going to select some data with where condition, right? One particular column where condition. So this is how we do it. So let's call this method. Let's go to Spring Boot application. So instead of calling a simple query, let's call this. So let's pass the Brazil. So you get 61 printed on the console. Any questions?
No. One is like you are passing that one variable, right? Like integer or object. Like, can you go back? Yeah. Implementation. Yes, integer dot class, right? How we get to know like what we have to pass here?
You must know, right? What is your query result?
Okay. Okay.
What
Based on
you,
the.
whenever you are writing query, you know what is that result. So that is
Yeah.
what is the
That,
return type. Yes.
okay. Type. Okay.
Yes.
Type. How it's.
The first
Okay. Okay.
argument is the query. Second argument is the return type. So what is the
Return.
query return?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is
That.
for.
Yes. If it is a object, then we
I
have
will.
to pass that.
No. For object, I will cover. Okay. I'm just showing you one particular column. I didn't say that
Okay.
full row how we can get it. We are going
Okay.
step by step, right? First, we
Okay.
selected one column with where condition. We are
Mm.
still selecting a particular column. How to select that complete row? I will tell you. Okay.
Can you go a little bit up? 1 second. One more.
No,
Okay.
that I didn't cover, right? So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. It didn't come.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yes,
we
sir.
started. Yeah. Any question?
Query it in command. In
Yeah, we will
correct.
discuss
Okay.
in condition, right? We will discuss. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we will go. I'm just starting. Hold on. Once we complete
Okay.
all
Okay.
these things, we will complete. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Query in also there. We will do it. Okay. Yeah. So with this, we are done with selecting one column with where condition. But there might be some multiple conditions can be applied, right? Where and, right? So one column only, I'm talking with respect to one column. We are selecting only one column, but I wanted to apply more conditions, where condition and the condition, which means I wanted to pass many arguments, right? How can we pass more than one argument is we have one more method. Instead of passing one particular parameter, you can pass object array, right? Object array. So here is my first parameter query. Second parameter is the return type. Third parameter is the placeholder. So I have a query like select population from city where country code is first placeholder, right? And the name equals to. So here I'm passing two parameters. So last time we checked only one parameter, right? One parameter. So this time we're gonna pass two parameters. So how can you pass two parameters? It is not a good practice, right? Comma separated and all, it won't be good practice. So let's use object array and pass those data parameters values in this object array, right? So this first value is going to be put it in the first placeholder and the second value is going to be put it in the second place. So the final query is going to be select population from city where country code, if you pass Brazil, so BRA. Inside that, what is the name of the city? What is the name of the city? Right? It's like a single column selection, but with two conditions, right? Two conditions. How can you do the two conditions? Something like that, right? So whenever you see when there is a more than one placeholder, you have to put it. Then use this object array approach, right? Object array approach. Let's go to our application and call that method. So what is that method? Get population by country and city. So one argument is a Brazil. Inside Brazil, I don't remember the city name. Let's go to database and get some city name and get some population, right? So yeah, so let's fetch the population of this minus. So it's going to return some long, right? It's not integer, and that is long. Yeah, just do these changes, run this code, it will work fine. To get the population of that particular city inside that country, right? Particular city population inside that country. Okay, so when you see more than one, right? So there are like 12,55,049 people are there in the Monas. It's a very old census, right? So don't stick to the data. Okay, just learn the scenario, right? So we are fetching the data, right? We are fetching one particular column information, right? By passing more than one place, more than one place. So these are like different categories, right? Selecting one column without placeholders, selecting column with one placeholder, selecting column, right? Multiple. So till now we are selecting only one column, right? Not the complete row. We are selecting only one column. So how can we select multiple rows? How can we select multiple rows, right? How can we select multiple rows? For that, we need to provide one, right? We need to provide how you want to extract the data from the row. Okay, so for example, if you execute select star from city, where, right, where these two conditions, right? Country code equals to Brazil, right? Brazil, or else India, and city, no Hyderabad, no Chennai. Let's go to Delhi, right? Yeah. So Delhi. So how many population are there in the Delhi, right? So you're gonna get it. So that complete row will be coming. Unfortunately, my table doesn't have the Indian information. Let's go with the Brazilian information, right? And city name, city name equals to this. Right? So I'm going to get the complete row. Till now we saw that, oh, I want to select only particular column. So you are passing long string, okay, that particular column type, whatever it is. If it is a string, where you are passing string. If it is an integer or number, you are passing integer or long. But how can I get that complete row information, right? So to convert a row into a Java object, we have to use a concept called row mapper, right? There is a concept called row mapper. So how can we convert a row, that database one row into one Java object is by using row mapper. It's actually an interface. It's actually an interface. So you need to provide implementation for that interface, right? So you need to provide implementation for that interface. And one good thing is it has only one abstract method, right? So when it is it has only one abstract method. It is a functional interface. You can write lambda expression, right? You can write lambda expression. So let's go to the interface and see what is the method it has, right? So let me open that. Right, row mapper. Let's open this. I opened from the Spring data, right? So let me open it from Spring Boot. You will come to what is it, right? So let me open Spring Boot dependency. So Spring. This is. Let me open all three. This one will have source code. Yes, right. So this is what is the interface. It has only one method called map row. Right. For example, if you execute a query, right, and you get only one row as a result, right? If your result set has only one row, then your map row method will be executed only one time. If you execute a query, then you got two rows as a result, right? Two records or two rows as a result. Then your method map row will be called two times. So if you execute select star from city, right? If you execute select star from city, and so the count is 461. So how many number of times your map row method will be executed? 461, right? The total count is 461. So your map row will be executed for 461 for each row, right? For each row in the result set, right? Each row result set result set dot has next, right? While result set dot has next, how many number of times that has next method will be called? For those many number of times, this map row method will be executed. So this result set, you can see that it's java.sql.result, right? Java.sql.result set, nothing else. So how many number of times you are calling while.rs.next, right? rs.has next. So those many number of times your map row method will be executed for each row. For each row in the database, right? The map row will be executed for that particular conversion, right? So it's your responsibility. How do you want to convert, right? How do you want to convert that particular code we have to write, right? First let's convert this into city object, right? So till now we have selected only one particular column, but this time we would like to select right? We would like to select the complete row information, right? So what you have to do, you have to provide implementation for this row mapper method. So let's start with anonymous methods, right? So row mapper, and it's a type of city, and let's assign this to a variable row mapper equals to new row mapper. Okay, so we are going to write an anonymous in the class. Later we will convert that into lambda expression, right? New row mapper of type city. So my row mapper is going to return a city object. So yeah, it has one method, right? So it has one method and it's going to return city. So the scope should be public city, and the method name is map row. It's going to take two parameters, result, right? It's a callback, you no need to call, just so the result set object will be passed automatically with a spring or spring boot. You don't need to worry about it. So the second parameter is int row, right? Int row. So here what you need to do inside this method, for each row you need to create one city object. Okay, city equals to new city. Yes, city equals to new city. Just create one object and extract the data from the result set and put it inside the city, right? So it's going to be city dot set id, for example, right? If it has an id column, then you're going to call this rs dot get int. The column name is id. Okay, so you must know what is the data which your column has, right? So that the select query table name, and then you must know the table name, column names you must know. So next, one more parameter. What is that? For example, city name you have, right? City dot set name you have. So yeah, so the database column name also let it be name, right? So for example, if you have country code, then city dot set country code, then you have to set the data, right? You have to set the data into this property. Then you should call rs dot get string, right? And you have to pass the country code, right? Country code, yes. And finally, after setting this data fully, right? After setting the data fully, finally return, right? Finally just return the object back. That's it, right? So this part you have to write it, right? So this part you have to take care. So you must do that iteration mapping. That's we already discussed in yesterday itself, right? So what are all the benefits you're gonna get it, right? Do the work for each iteration, right? What it has to do for each iteration of the result set, right? That you have to write. So this is what is a developer task. Okay, so just compare one more time. Connection parameters provided in the application.properties file. Writing the query, select star from country, like select star from city, where condition, or whatever it is. You have to write the query, and you need to provide the parameters, right? For example, city name, right? So those parameters you have to provide, and also you need to specify how to iterate that result set, right? So that particular logic you have to provide. So these four steps has to be taken care by the developer. So we covered all, right? So providing connection parameters, providing writing SQL statement, and passing the parameters, and iterating that result set. So these four steps has to be taken care by the developer. So the first three are easy. The fourth one is a little complicated because you need to specify in terms of row mapper. You need to provide an object to the row mapper, right? So this is what is an anonymous, as it is a functional interface. You can convert this into lambda expression. Just remove that method signature and everything. Put the arrow. Put the arrow. Just that's it. It's converted into a lambda expression. So specifying the class name and all, it's completely not required, right? So this is what is a lambda expression, and if you put it back, this is what is a anonymous inner class, right? So anything anonymous inner class, separate class, or anything, it's fine, but you need to pass the object of row mapper, and you need to provide implementation for map row method, and you need to just extract the data from the result set and put it in the object whatever you wanted, return the object, right? So that's how we do we do convert one row into one row into one object, right? So let's see one example. Let's see one example where we're gonna get the data. So let's go to city repository, right? So yeah, I want to get cities by country code, right? So Brazil. So let's start from city where country code is equals to Brazil, right? So BRA I will go to pass, and I will get a group of cities with that country code, right? So this is what is the declaration. Let's go inside this. So let's see how it's implemented. This time we will call query method, right? Query method. The first argument is the query, right? The first argument is the query. Second argument is a placeholder, and the third argument is a object of row mapper, object of row mapper. So here I wrote an lambda expression, right? So this is equivalent to whatever we saw till now, anonymous in our class, right? Whatever we saw till now, it's equivalent, right? So anonymous in our class. So the third argument is going to be the row mapper. So you just say what to do for each iteration. That result will be converted into a collection automatically. You no need to say, you no need to create an array list, set into array list. You no need to do. Just you need to specify for each iteration what has to be done. So that iteration everything will be taken care by Spring, right? The iteration everything will be taken care by Spring. Finally, you're gonna get a list of cities written in Mac, right? So this is one more important thing which we have to remember. So how do you convert a row into a result set row into Java object? By using row mapper, and it's going to be our start argument for query method. So you no need to worry about creating a collection and putting into the collection. You just need to say for each iteration what has to be done, right? What has to be done. So this is what is the signature of the query method. The first one is the query, second one is a parameters, and the third one is a implementation of row mapper. Implementation of row mapper. Sometimes some people will do like this. Instead of creating object and assigning into a separate variable, what they do, they directly pass this lambda expression as an argument, right? So this is also equivalent only. There is no problem, right? You can also do something like this. So this lambda expression is equivalent to the row mapper object, right? Whatever the snippet I have selected. Sometimes you might see like this. That is also fine, right? That is also fine. So instead of creating a lambda expression and assigning it to a variable and passing that variable, can be replaced with a direct lambda expression. So for better readability, right, we will just pass the variable, right? But both are same. There is no difference. Okay. So now let's go to our Spring Boot application, and call this method, right? So select, I think get all cities by country code and pass the country code, right? So you get the, what is the return type? It's not a long, right? It's LB straight. So let's take that list city. Yeah, you need to pass, yeah, city. Brazil cities. You just do control shift to, you just call Brazil cities dot for each, right? You can just use method reference system dot out colon, right? So we're going to print it on the console. We're going to print it on the console. So this is equivalent to lambda expression, right? So this is equivalent to this. So instead of using method reference, you can do something like this. City, you just do sys out of city. Both are same, right? Line number 33 and 36 both are same. 33 is the most concise report. So let's do that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sometimes if you would like to do a method chaining, yes, you can do. Instead of assigning it to a variable and calling the method on the variable, you just do call it. It's a single method, so it's a method chaining. So first you call city repository dot get all mobiles, like get all cities by country code. Then you call for each, right? For each. So instead of assigning it a variable and calling that method on the variable, you just do a method chaining, right? Fluent API, the method chaining. So you just run this and you get that all cities, right? There are around 61 cities are present inside Brazil, right? It will print all 61 cities information, right? All 61 cities information on the console. Okay, so row mapping is little complicated thing in the Spring JDBC, but yeah, you just do one or two examples hands-on, you feel comfortable, right? So how to convert that into um, this one, right? Into a row, a Java object, then you have to use row mapper, right? Okay. So this
Sunil,
is yeah.
Sunil, here instead of writing it here itself, I can create a city row mapper class and implement this row mapper, and I can override that map row method there, right? If I have
Yes,
to use this in multiple places.
yes, yeah, that is also fine.
So there I just need to pass the class object here instead of RM.
Yes. So you do
Okay.
create city row mapper equals to new city row mapper and do it. So this lambda expression is equivalent to
Okay.
writing an anonymous equivalent to a separate class. It's up to you. If you want to use
Yeah, yeah.
multiple places, write it as like that. But don't create a separate class for row mapper. It's better to create an inner class, something like this, right? Static final, right? Class city row mapper. This is also fine. Implements row mapper. Right? So it's going to return a city. Do like this, right? For row mapper, don't create a separate class file. Just create an,
Hmm.
inner class. So here you do that, and you create. If you want to use in multiple places, create object for this and use it.
Okay.
This is what you have to do. Don't create separate class. Anything that works fine, this works fine. Just I'm showing you the best practice. Okay.
Yes, Sunil. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So in operator, how can we achieve? I thought I already wrote some method example. Let me check if it is available. If it is not available, let's go to the documentation and see. Go to the old example. Somewhere I would have written. If it is there, okay, we will follow. If it is not there, we will try now. Try that out, right? In operator. Repository, city. These are all interfaces, right? So let's go to where is the implementation? There is Spring data. Sorry, not data. JDBC should go. Let me check if is there any place in is there. We will use that. If it in not there, then we will try one. Right? Okay. So in is not there. I will search the documentation and I will get back for in operator user, right? In class, right? In class I will get one example. But yeah, let's continue with this, and later I will show you one in example, right? In class example. So till now, this many things we did, right? So we did one particular column that without where condition, one column with where, with one column with where plus and, right? One row or multi row, both any all are same, right? One row, multi row, just it is a return type will change, that's it. One row or multi row, right? Multi row with where and the condition, right? Where and the condition. We have object array, right? So you can pass multiple parameters, no doubt at all. So it's like one row you want to fetch, the return type should be list. So Spring will take care about it, right? You just call query for object method, and you will get one object. If it is a multi object, you have to call query method. For example, if I scroll down, if I wanted to get one particular city information, right? Instead of population, right? We have population example. I want to fetch that complete row, right? So I want to fetch the complete row what should we do? We should use query for object. Query for object, return type not supposed to be long. It's supposed to be city, and the fourth argument you have to pass. The fourth argument you have to pass the row mapper, right? The fourth argument you have to pass the row mapper. So we want this row mapper in the both the places, right? So I put this row mapper implementation in a separate class, whatever we ask, right? So I'll put it here, and we will use this in multiple places, right? We use this in multiple places. So I want this row mapper here. I'll just create city row mapper rm equals to new city row mapper, right? And it's a type of city. So let's just okay. Yes. So just pass this argument, so things will work as expected. So wherever you need a row mapper, just use this instead of duplicating the code, right? So here we need okay, we have duplicate method, that's why that those two errors are coming. Okay, so let me change the method name, right? So get city, right? So the method name, let's add it as get city info, right? Get city info by country and city. So here I have to pass the row mapper, right? So let's create an object for row mapper and pass it. So I think the method signature is a little different. We'll check that, right? So first we need to write the query. Okay, so we need to identify correct query, right? So I want to query. I want return type. So we don't need to specify the return type. So we need to specify the row map. So this signature we have to use query for object, query arguments, row mapper, query arguments, row map. So let's select this. So here is the query. Let's select start from city where country code equals to first placeholder and name equals to second placeholder. So in the argument section, let's pass the arguments, right? Let's pass the arguments. So the argument is row mapper, just put it rm, and here we need to pass the object array. So this is the first argument is country code, yeah, and the second argument is city name. Okay, and this will return a city, not the long. That's why the error is coming. So now you will get one particular row. If it is one row, then you have to use query for object. If it is multiple rows, you have to use query object. Right? If it is multiple rows, where is that? Where is the row map? Yeah, if it is a multiple rows, then you have to use query for object. Right? So let's put this method in the interface. So let's add the override. You will get an error. So we will get a suggestion. Then we will ask, right, create a method. Right? Create a method. Let's go to our base application, right? So Spring Boot application. Instead of calling this, we will call get city info, right? City info by city, country and city name. The first one is a country code, and the second one is a city code. I think some MEA something was there, right? Let's go to the database, right? Yeah, MEA. So here we will get only one object, right? We will get only one object. So print that. So this method is going to return one city information. Print that city information on the console. So let's run the code. You will get that city info printed on the console. City info printed on the console. Yes. So there are so many utility methods are there. So we will be calling it, right? So the same way, if you would like to insert some information, Then we will call update method. Update, for example, I want to update some district information. But before that, let's insert some data. Hey, where is the insert query? Yeah, here we go, right? Yeah. So first get the city ID, already existing city ID, then ID plus plus, right? So we are going to dynamically insert the ID name. That's why we executed first. Select max of ID from city, max of ID from city. I want to get that result into an integer, right? So we got the city ID. So next time inserting next time I'm inserting one more row, right? So we should use update method. Update method. The first argument is query, and the second argument is the parameters, right? It takes only two parameters. One is the query, and the next one is the placeholders. So it's like insert into city. What are all the columns we're going to insert? ID, name, country code, district, country code, district, and population. I think it's a while use, and yeah, so there are 5 placeholders, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 placeholders, right? 1, 2, 3, 5 placeholders. So we need to pass 5 parameters. One is the city name, that's city ID. City name is Mahbubabad. It's present inside India. It's part of Warangal district, and the population is 1 lakh, right? So this is my hometown. That's why I put it like this, right? When you try, you just try with your hometown, right? So 2 parameters. So I'm just trying to insert my hometown details into the data, right? So when I call this method, I should pass this information, right? I should pass this information. Actually, we're supposed to take it from this city. It's not like hard-coded data. So we're supposed to take it from the city. If we are, as we are hard-coded, we don't need to pass any data also. But if it's supposed to be taken from this city, right? It's supposed to be taken from the city, but I don't know, somehow I hard-coded it. So let's try the example, right? So we're gonna call city repository dot add city. Actually, it's like a real data you have to pass. But anyway, I'm not using that object. I'm passing null, right? I am passing null because we are not using that object anywhere, right? City we are not using. It's supposed to be a real data. City dot get city, city dot get country, city dot get a district, right? So like that it's supposed to be. But anyway, so just for demo purpose, I'm doing it, right? So when you try, you just need to populate this object, right? So or else let's do that, right? So city equals to new city, okay? And let's populate the data. ID, don't put it, right? It should be taken dynamically. Set name, right? So let's do some city name. It can be anything. And district name, set district. So it's like, and the population, right? City dot set small city dot set. So ID we don't do it. So the name we gave, country code we need to give it. So let's do country code. It's part of India. So let's go for next city dot set population. So let's give some population, like 1 lakh 50, right? So and pass this city, right? And inside this method, let's do the changes. So let's take the actual data instead of hard coding it. Let's take the actual data, right? City dot get name. Okay, second one is country code. Right? So city dot get country code, and the third one is get district, right? So city dot get district, and fourth one is city dot get population. Right? So yeah, so this is how we need to uh, write the code actually, right? So this ID should be a dynamic one. Whatever the value is there in the database, we are taking it and we are just appending place, right? 1 plus 1, and we are doing it. Might be sometimes we do use database feature, right? Like if it is a Oracle, then we use sequence generator. If it is a MySQL, then we use auto entry, right? So it changes from database to database. In Oracle, we use sequence generator. In MySQL, we use some auto increment feature. It might be different for PostgreDB to I'm not sure. I know those two databases, that's why I'm telling you. That will change from database to database. So ID increment will vary from database to database. So we don't want to rely on the database, right? So we would like to take the control inside Java application. That's why we are doing city plus plus, right? So select +1 we are resetting. So now let's go to the application and so before running this query, what is the count we have in city? It's like 461, and India there are no cities, right? No cities. Let's run this code, and it's like auto commit, right? The transaction management will be taken care by Spring, so we don't have to worry. So let's run this code. You see that the data will be inserted into the database successfully. You will get that count also, how many number of rows are inserted. So we are not printing fortunately. So if you would have printed, you see that one printed on the console. Okay, now you see that one row is available. Now you can go to IND condition, right? IND condition, you see that there is one row is present in the table. Okay, so let's run some update query, right? So we inserted, let's run some update query. So earlier the city is under a different district. Now the city itself will become a district, right? So let's run that update query. Let's go to that and just run an update query, right? Update city, set district, and where ID. So earlier that is into a different district, and now it got updated, right? So we can run that update city. So city ID is 462 or something. I think some city ID we need to take it, and we need to run that update query. So it's a straightforward, right? So two parameters, like almost same like insert query. So it's a two parameters. You can run delete query also, but mostly we don't delete the data in the real-time applications. We do a soft delete, right? Is active or is valid, some flag we will put it, and we will just change it to true false. So it's going to be a soft delete. So we don't do a raw delete, direct delete on the database, right? So in the real-time application, it's going to be software. So we do update, delete, insert, something like this. You just get one city, right? Already we did it, right? One particular city by ID. You can do. So let's check how can we do this in parameter, right? So let's go to the documentation. So it's part of the Spring framework. Go to reference documentation. So in data access, go to data access with the JDBC. Let's type in class, right? Yeah, so in classes, how we have to take care about in classes. Is using callable statement as example. So let's see one example in class. So SQL standards allow selecting rows based on the expression that includes variables list as values. A typical example like this: select star from city where ID in like 1, 2, 3, right, in class. So how can we achieve that? So JDBC takes the ladder of Jdbc template. We can pass the value as a list of primitive objects. So the list is used to insert. Okay, I think there is, if you directly pass a list, then it should work. Let's try that one, right? So let's try one demo. So I want to fetch, like I want to execute this query, right? Select star from city where city or else where country, right? Two country codes I want to execute, right? Can we use in it's like India, and another one is like some Australia, right? So let's run this query. So I think semicolon is missing. Let's run this. Right, you got some data, right? So how can we pass this two parameters, right, in class? So let's go to the end of this file and just write a new method public where it returns list of city. Okay, And the second, let's give the method name like get cities, get cities by country. Okay, country code. Don't do write like a method in class and all, right? So no, like people can't understand. Just do like by country codes. Multiple country codes we will be passing, right? So get cities by country codes, right? So we are passing list of country codes. So that's how you should write the method, right? So what it does, the verb model you have to write. So list city and don't try in class and all. It okay. It's okay. You can understood, but others cannot understand it. So yeah, that's why we are not doing like that. So country codes we are passing. So let's write the query first. Query equals to select star from city where we in I think only one placeholder. Okay, only one placeholder. So so let's call JDBC template dot query. Right, JDBC template dot query. So let's see what are all the methods are possible here. Excuse me. So I think arguments we need to pass as an object array. So the first one SQL we are passing. Anyway, it won't be fit. It won't be suitable. Yeah, let's row mapper and object args, right? So last we can use this, right? So the first one is a query, right? First one is a query, and second one is a row mapper, right? So let's get that row mapper implementation. Row mapper of type city, right? So it's like row mapper equals to new city row mapper. Yes, you got the row mapper. Just pass that as, and let's pass this list as is, right? We'll check it out. Never coming network. I'm not sure. We'll try. Okay. So yeah, finally we need to return this, right? So return. So we will get this. So let's add this into an interface, right? Let's add this into interface. So just add override, we will get an error. So let's go with the intelligent, right? So create this method in the interface. So this method is added. Now let's call this method from the command line. Okay. So first let's create a list with the cities, country codes, right? List string going to be country codes. The parameter is country codes, and I don't do new array list and all. I'll directly create it by using util class, right? Arrays util, like as list, and the first one is India, and the second one is Brazil. Yes. Just to pass this so into the interface, right? So just city repositories dot what is the method we wrote? Get all cities by country codes, right? Get cities by country codes, and let's pass this list. Okay, you get an array list object, right? Just do a for each. It's not list, it's country codes. Yes, we're gonna get multiple right, for each and print that on the console. System dot out colon print ln colon print ln. It should be capital. Yes. Okay. Let's run this code. Hope for the best. Expect the output. If there is any exception, we will look into that exception. Okay. So as per the documentation, it should support. What's up? No result is printed. Let's test this out. No data. No exception. No data. Yeah, it is executing, but no data is returning. Why? Let's go inside this method. Okay, so the problem would be how we are calling this method, right? So there must be some other way. So we might be doing in a wrong way. So let's debug and see. Might be we are calling the wrong method. We'll see that. Okay, so we are passing two countries. So yes, India, Brazil, whatever it is, India, we are here, whatever it is. So it's going to be like this. We are passing two parameters. This is row mapper. Let's see what is the result of this control shift IE. So there is no data, right? So which means we are passing the data in the wrong format. Right? We are calling a wrong method. So we'll see what is the best method which fits for our requirement. Right? So this object array is not working. Object array is not working. So we can do result set extractor row mapper argument types. Okay, so we'll do one thing. Let's pass this as an object array first argument, right? So if it is not working, then we will check in between. Let's try this out. No, still not working. So let's go to the documentation. So you said that takes lateral approach. Be careful when passing many values. Jdbc template. Jdbc standard does not guarantee that you can use more than 100 values. Various databases exceed the number. Okay, fine. We are passing only two. So where is the example code snippet? In addition to the primitive values in the list, you can create object arrays. This list can support multiple expressions being defined in any class, such as basic itself is not working. For example, in the documentation, go to the Google and search JDBC template. We need one example, right? So JDBC template with in class Stack Overflow. It's not overflow, it's a Stack Overflow. Right? So let's keep it.
Snippet JDBC.
JDBC.
Yeah. He is using named parameter JDBC template. In our case, it is everywhere he is using named parameter.
It's also using colon after in, right, instead of placeholder.
That is what is the named JDBC.
That is for named parameters.
Yes, named JDBC. But our case is JDBC. It's simple JDBC template is not good thing, right? So string utils dot join, way, whatever the documentation is saying is directly not working, right? They would have provided some sample snippet, code snippet. Here also it is named parameter JDBC template.
No, Sunil, I think there is some already existing method is there for this. Somewhere else. This time or last time you showed it.
I think I would have showed with the named parameter JDBC template.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
That is what is the example is available everywhere. But no, let's try with the JDBC template itself. As per the documentation, it should work. Why it is not working?
Try with two question marks, like two placeholders.
No. We don't know, right? How much data is
Yeah,
going to come.
but just to verify whether it's working or not by passing a list.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just a minute. Let me check if there any. They would have provided some kind of snippet like this, right? They themselves are asking to go to some other example. So I follow this guy. Let's use this data integrity exception. It's not telling about any class. So this is not Jdbc. I think we need to use this one, string utils join. We'll try this out. Maybe the string utils, it's not from Java. It might be from Apache something, right? So yeah, it's from this one. So let's try this out. From Spring only, string utils from Spring, but join method is not there. So it's not from Spring. So some third-party library is using. We are asking for JDBC template. It's showing named parameter JDBC template. If it is working for named parameter JDBC template, it should work for JDBC template. For sure, it should work, right? So let's debug this, right? Let's jump into the JDBC code, right? So let's not compromise. Let's go inside this. What is happening? So we are passing this as an array list. Yes. So this is row mapper. These are the arguments. Okay. So let's go inside with not the result. So it's calling another query method. So new args we are passing. So we are calling this method simple statement creator. Right. Going. Inside, see, it's a result set only. Again, it's a result set. Extract the data. But before that, where the query is getting prepared, right? Set values. Yes, prepared statement. Where the arguments are. So yes. Let's go little back. Somewhere we missed out. Right? So here we are preparing that query, right? So arguments we are passing. It's an object array. So somewhere we would be calling this set values. Okay, so yeah, it's getting created. We are setting this. So it should be what class it is. Implement prepare statement. So some method would be calling this set values. So public method, right? So let's go little back. We are creating this. It's okay. We are creating this and we are calling this query method. So where is the set values? Yeah, here it is calling set values method. So it should be our argument prepared, right? So we'll debug why the value is not setting. We will debug and see. Okay. Let's do the postmortem on Spring Jdbc code. So let's go inside this, right? So we will start from here again. Query method we are calling. Okay, so we will call another query method. I'll put a breakpoint here. Till now we understood this, right? Yeah, it's good. So So we are calling this another query method. Yeah, so the flow will be coming here. So we'll put a breakpoint here. We will also put a breakpoint, another breakpoint on the class of here which parameter we created. New arg prepared statement setter, right? So it's argument prepared statement setter. So it has a set values method, right? So the flow should be coming here. There we go. Let's start in the debug mode. Yes. So we are here. Let's just press F8. Yes. So good. We are inside this query method, and now we will be jumping into the set values. Right. So before executing query, just do an F8. So we passed args, two arguments. What it is doing is just taking the first argument. It's the list. Yes. It is just calling the set value method. Right. Set value method. F6. It's not SQL, right? So it's not SQL parameter value type. Then we are calling this set parameter value method. So set parameter internal. Okay, here if we place it, we will be setting the actual F6. Yeah, we are here. So here is the data. If it is not parameter value type, yes, it will come here. It goes to the next. Yeah, here. So I think we are printing something. This trace enable. Why we didn't enable trace? I think it will show the query which is generated, I believe. If we enable trace, that's fine. Okay, so this is just some logging message. Let's go inside this set value method. F6. So it's not SQL value, SQL type value. It's not varchar. It's not nchar. It's not cloud. Right? So it's not decimal. It's not boolean. It's not date. It's not calendar. It's not time. It's not timestamp. Unknown. Yes. So it should be unknown, right? So SQL type should be unknown. So there they are handling this collection. Yeah. I think there is no default support for collection. We'll try that. No, it's not string. It's not date. It's not calendar. Yeah, it's finally setting this generic, right? Set object. So it's a prepare statement dot set object. I think that's why it's not working. Right. So there is no particular type we don't have, right. There is no particular type we have for collection. So as per the documentation, collection should be taken care here, right. So how we have timestamp, date, varchar, boolean, decimal, but there is no specific code for list here. I don't know why. They said it should be working, but why it is not working? That's why the result is not coming. Okay, so the approach should be something different. But anyway, we will enable the logging and see. Okay, we will enable the logging. Why the tracing is not enabled? By default, debug means tracing should be enabled, right? So as per the documentation, they said it should work for collection. See, he did something like that, right? So Spring documentation states there are no way to doing research generating required. So in class does not accept single variable to represent me. So you're saying it won't work. You would have to build up a plus query. Right. So if you pass multiple parameters, it would be working, but it's not the correct solution. If you do query like multiple times, then there is awkward using named parameter JDBC template. It's working for named parameter JDBC template. It's not working for hope it will be helpful. But how can we solve this issue by using um, JDBC template? Okay, so there is no default support for in-class in JDBC template. See, everywhere they are using named parameter JDBC template only. I think I have that example ready. I'll show that. Just you try that. Okay, you just Google it and see anywhere you can identify. Just let me know. So according as for now, whatever we did the debug under, understood it won't work for in class, right? So it works for in class like named parameter JDBC. So the difference between JDBC template and named parameter JDBC template is if it is a JDBC template, we do use this placeholder, right? Placeholder. If it is a named parameter JDBC template, we do use this colon, and country code, something like this. And here we pass this list, okay, country codes. So we'll try this out. If this works fine, it's okay. If it is not working, then we'll take the example from Google and put it here. Close others. Let's go to okay. Named parameter JDBC template is the child of JDBC template. Okay, so named parameter JDBC template. It's just a child, right? So just open the named parameter JDBC template. Let me open out. Anyone will have source code for sure. So it's child of named parameter JDBC operations. Oh, it is completely different. Then we should create an object for named parameter JDBC. Okay, so we'll try this out. Any exception comes, we'll look into it. I think it will throw an error saying that the placeholder not working out. Okay, prepare statement callback, select star from country codes where array index auto exception, illegal argument exception. Okay, so yeah, it's a problem with this thing, right? So named parameter JDBC template should be taken care in a different way. We will discuss that. So we will see one example with the named parameter JDBC template, right? Not this one. So anyway, somehow it's not working, right? So we will see one example, right? So yeah, as per the debugging, for now JDBC template won't support in class. So in class should be resolved by using named parameters JDBC template, right? In single statement. So after debugging, what we understood is like JDBC template is not working for in class. You just try from your end. If you are able to do this, it's fine. If you are not able to do this, then we will. Yeah, it's like a kind of final thing, whatever I said, right? So now let's jump into named parameter JDBC template. Is it clear, guys? Sorry, I think I'm going a bit fast. Yeah, just forget about this debug whatever I did, right? Just I want to see what is there internally. That's why I just go inside. I just went inside. You just go through my recording and just try to do the same kind of debug if you would like to do. Okay, so for now, this in class is not going to work with JDBC template. Today I will spend some time. If I find anything, I will let you know tomorrow. Right. So this is what is our code. So we will use in class in single placeholder, then it should work. According to the documentation, it's supposed to be working, but I don't know why it is not working. I will check and let you know. Okay. Okay. Hey, I think everybody is in confusion mode. We jumped from there to here. Hello?
Yeah. No, Sunil, we are fine.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So I just want to see the internal implementation. That's why I just went inside. Fine. If you are not able to follow, it's fine. Okay. You just do the same kind of debugging by just doing the while going through the recording, right? I just want to check internally. That's why I just went inside a bit fast. If you are able to follow, it's fine. If you are not able to follow, that is also fine. Just the conclusion is in class won't support for this. In class like won't be supported by JDBC template. That is what we concluded now. If anything identified, we will try that tomorrow, right? So if anything identified, we will try that tomorrow. For now, in class won't be working. Like no exception, no problem, but the data is not coming back, right? So the data is not coming back. So as per documentation, it should work. As per documentation, it should work. If it is not working, then as it is not working, then we will check this later. But for now, the conclusion is JDBC template won't support in class. JDBC template won't support in class. So with this, we are done with the JDBC template. So query for object, update, execute. So these are the methods we used. Finally, the conclusion we got is like no in class support for JDBC. Is it clear?
Yes, Sunil.
Okay.
Yes, Sunil.
Let's go to the next topic. Named parameter JDBC template, right? Named parameter JDBC.
Sunil, are you going to take this now?
Oh, we are already 10. Okay. Yeah, then we can stop for today. Okay, then good. Tomorrow we will start with this, right? Country code. If I identify something, I will let you know. If I don't identify anything, then that is a conclusion like JDBC template defaultly won't support in class. I hope I answered Hari's question. Right, Hari? There is no support. This is what he asked, right? In class. So in class support by default it is not there. But for sure it will work with the named parameter JDBC template. But before that, I would like to tell you a couple of things. What is named JDBC template? What is the difference? What is the benefit you want to get? Right? So why we need to use named parameter JDBC template and how to pass the data to the named parameter JDBC template. So that I will cover tomorrow, and I will cover that in class also. With that, we will be closing this named parameter JDBC template. And last, I will show some batch operation, right? Some bashing kind of thing. So with that, we can close this JDBC. So there are totally three things we learned, right? JDBC template, like named parameter JDBC template, and batch processing. So that is what I want to cover from JDBC. Okay, so with that we will be jumping into data JPA. So tomorrow we will start named parameter JDBC template. So with whatever we learned today, right? So these methods, query for object, execute. Mostly we will be using this on JDBC template, right? We will be using this on JDBC template. Okay. Yeah, sorry. It's almost 7 minutes late today. We will continue remaining things tomorrow. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow, sharp at 8:15. Okay.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye, bye, team.